Okay, cool. I'm doing it right now. All right. Let's see what we got here. Couple technical difficulties. Unexpected here. It looks like we are where we need to be here in a second. Ready? Pull this up. Got this part here. Pin this, and we'll get to sharing. Okay. Boom. It's here. All righty. So let me pull up these slides. If you can, if you're jumping back on, little unexpected glitch here, but we are back. Let me know if you're back, and we're gonna kick this back off where we left off, which was past the introduction. So let me know where you're tuning in from, and we're gonna get right into sales and training here, sales prospecting. Close this part out here. I might have had too many windows open. That'll always do it. Okay, we're going to share here. Okay, if you are tuned in and you could see my screen, please let me know there. And it looks like I'm live in a couple areas here. Let me refresh this one. We got this part here. Let me go back here to, and we're live here. Perfect. So we're back. All right, guys, thank you so much. So day 3, sales and prospecting, has everything to do with acquisition, right? So we're going to be talking about today a couple important parts when it comes to identifying quality candidates, right? Who are going to be the candidates that we want to work with? We want to work with, we want to partner with, and where are they located, right? Where are they at in the online ecosystem as well as the in-person ecosystem? And there are a handful of folks that will prefer to do online prospecting, whether it's Facebook groups, whether it's messaging, email, just back and forth correspondence. And then there's others that prefer to go door to door, in person, attend in-person networking events. So I want to kind of make sure we go over both. And if you're more of an online, because you're balancing maybe another job, or you're balancing just with the kids, or there's something new that you're interested in getting involved with, let me know if you prefer the online prospecting as your core prospecting. And if you prefer the in-person prospecting, the networking, let me know that as well. We can get a good tally on who prefers what. I can make sure we hit on all areas as needed. And that's what we're going to decide here as we go, right? Like, what's going to work for you? And then with what we learned today, that'll bring us right into tomorrow with fulfillment, right? So as we start to prospect and bring on new clients, whether they're beta, paid, or at a premium rate, we now need to fulfill on that. So that'll be tomorrow. And then last, on Friday, we'll take the sales, prospecting, fulfillment, and then retention, right? Retaining those clients and then growing those accounts that we essentially have invested time with and have gotten them the results that they've paid for, right? That's also very important. So the ascension is that growth. And typically, in my experience, you maybe get an account for $97, $197. You build a good relationship with them, and then it evolves into $297, $597, $999, and they grow based on the needs of their business. And a lot of the needs of the business is based on what you share as opportunities. So we'll go over that as well, and we'll identify these different opportunities in a real-time way as we speak to many different people. As we speak to new people and have, whether they're mini conversations, extended conversations, we're going to learn a little bit about everybody's types of business. And this is the fun part, whether you realize it from a previous experience or this is new to you. This is the fun part because it's almost like you get to go inside of a business for a short time, understand the pain points, understand what they're doing now, maybe what they may be missing out on based on your experience speaking with others, and then helping them evolve. Right. And as you're doing this, and whether it's online prospecting or in-person prospecting, you'll notice that where businesses are located, There'll be different market dynamics, whether it's seasonality, whether it's a new up and coming area, or whether it's an area with baby boomers or retirees, or very like homes are spread apart, or there's not many businesses, right? And that also plays a part in the sales and prospecting end of things, because how much you have access to people and your customers have access to people, is who we want to attract as people to do business with us. So we'll discuss that. And then prospecting and closing the sale, right? Like having a conversation, building enough need analysis, showing them the opportunity, and then saying, hey, look, how do you typically prefer to make these payments? Do you want to do month by month? Do you prefer to pay quarterly, or do you prefer to pay the year in full? Right? And typically we'll accept a debit card or credit card, or you could pay check for the year in full if you'd like. Right? And that just making that conversation so smooth and so nonchalant that they say, you know what, I'll just pay it in full. I'll just pay it in full, right? Like we want to get to that point, right? Where it's not that we have to, and not everybody has to do this, right? But there are times where, depending on your experience, you have to almost beg for the sale. You almost have to, you almost have to like convince them, and then you reconvince them, and then quadruple convince them, and that just becomes very time consuming, right? So as we evolve in these conversations, you will find and you will learn new features within high level. And to name a few, we're going to go over the prospecting tool, which is a great tool to create a needs analysis and something visual that your potential customer can understand and have these aha moments and really see what's wrong or what's not being cared for. So we'll go over that. You'll have the sales pipeline and opportunities, right? So setting that up so that way things move automatically. You're using this as your compass of where potential customers are at, where those relationships are at, is going to be important to have set up. And just naming those two things, in addition to maybe email reminders, SMS reminders, and a calendar, you may have you may get stumped on setting this up. And I want to remind you that we have a resource available to you, speakwith.us/success, that you can go on a live Zoom and have someone help you, have an expert help you bypass that stump. Because yes, you can figure it out on your own, but the more time you try to figure it out with a process that's there to help you get it done right away, is the less time you have to go prospecting, build relationships, and do follow-ups. So if you haven't yet experienced this at least once, it takes one time to see success and be helped, and you'll end up using it more often, right? And again, as you're out and about, we have swag. So if you want to purchase some swag, our swag store here. And speaking of swag, we are giving away swag daily. So yesterday we pulled a winner. We're going to share today. Today we're going to pull a winner. Tomorrow we're going to pull a winner, and then Friday we're going to pull a winner of some cool swag that you can pick. So if you haven't yet, please engage with us. Jump in the comments, whether it's Facebook or YouTube. Just share your feedback, share your questions. And you enter automatically when you do so to win a prize, right? So yesterday's winner, drum roll please, is in the comments below. And what's really nice about this is that as more and more people are winning, more and more of our community is learning about these giveaways, and more new people want to participate. So the more people we have in our 5-day challenge, in our group, and even on our lives, is more people that we can lean on to network and grow with. So congratulations to our winner. Thank you for participating. Thank you for engaging organically, naturally, sharing value and sharing excitement. We appreciate you very much. So as we evolve here, if you have not yet, you want to make sure you get a high level account, right? You want to make sure you have your trial for the high level account. And if you have not yet set up your high level account, you have the opportunity to get that fully set up done for you, right? So go to this link below, get that account set up, and we'll go ahead and get you caught up in the event you didn't join sooner and now you want to get started with the challenge, right? So let's get right into building some foundation around what we need to do to really kick off our sales and prospecting efforts with our reviews as an offer, right? You know, the training I'm going to go over with you is for everyone's experience, right? There's no prerequisite of you having any type of sales experience other than you just putting in the effort and giving it all you got, right? So as I go over this, I just want you to I want you to know that there are evolutions to this training, and you will need to, obviously, you know, put together the outreach to really get the best out of the training. But let's start with identifying quality candidates, right? Um, you know, as we start to do our eyes on the market, we want to pick ideal ideal clients for us, right? And ideal clients for the reputation management services. So, we're not necessarily niching down to a specific industry, but I'd almost say we're niching down to a problem, right? We're solving the problem of a lack of online reputation, a lack of positive reputation, or just a lack of brand awareness that is usually driven by reviews and ratings, whether they're a brand, a product, a business, or a public figure, right? And in this case here, we want to really focus on, as we get started, local businesses. We want to focus on local businesses with significant customer interactions now. Like, so people that have existing customers, whether it's a restaurant, a coffee shop, um, a store in the mall that's a privately owned, a fast food, a food truck, like just places that have organic customers frequently is key. Because, the mistake you might make in the beginning is trying to help somebody from scratch to build their reputation. Well, they need some customers to get that ball going. So let's start with those who have some customers in play. And as we start to do that, you'll start to see that there's a handful of businesses that are experiencing different scenarios. So you have a handful of businesses that maybe have a handful of reviews, but they're all good. You have another set of businesses that they have a handful of reviews, but half are good, half are bad. And then you have a couple scenarios where they have a bunch of reviews, and then they just recently had a rash of bad reviews that came in, right? So these are scenarios that are all unique to the business and the circumstances. So it's important that we ask some great discovery questions, and we'll get into that as we go. But as you're looking for people to potentially help and work with, just keep on your curiosity hat. Always remain curious. And as you remain curious, it just comes off more intentional, more open-minded than maybe asking a list of questions back to back to back to back, right? And in my personal experience, I've done both. I've done both. I've gone too prescriptive, and I've gone very open, curiosity, open-minded. You'll find your balance. You'll definitely find your balance. And then lastly, you want to work with companies that want they take pride in their reputation. They take pride in what people say about them. And you could typically find those businesses on Facebook groups, in different comments of different posts, and then even in person when they're doing presentations at different events, or they're on billboards, they're on web advertisements. Typically, people that enjoy their brand are promoting themselves more frequently than others, right? And as you start to really start with that foundation of the type of customer you want to work with, and the reason why you want to work with them is to help build their brand and complement it, you now need to look at the market they're in and the territories they serve or the areas they serve. And you'll find, like, let's just use a home service business. You'll find that a home service business, maybe they serve within 25 miles of their main location. Well, in that 25-mile main location area, there are a lot of different things that can happen in those small towns, villages, counties, or areas. One part of the county could be, thriving and really booming with new construction and new people moving in. So there's a demand. Maybe there's a demand if there is, different home repairs or new installations or modifications. And then you have parts of an area where it's just quiet. It's just very quiet, very, very established, and really kind of, there's one or two stores or one or two types of businesses, and everyone just goes there. So, knowing the area is key. And then as you get into different parts of where, you're doing business and your customers are doing business, especially if you're working with online customers, it's really understanding like their busy areas, their busy times. Because like if you're working with a client that's near the shore, well, if they're in the Northeast, well, the summertime is, May, June, July, August, a little bit of September, right? So you need to know that those dynamics to really determine how you position and evolve their program with you. When can you get the best of them and their customers because of the volume they have, right? And then as you do that, you start to identify some of their key competitors and you start to see what their key competitors are doing. So maybe, key competitors have a lot of reviews and a lot of the reviews are around a couple of different services or speed or price. So, that's also important to keep an eye on because as you're picking to work with one client or a few clients in that area, you want to know and take the clues of what's successful for others in that area, right? And then, understanding how to leverage the busyness of an area, right? Busyness of a time. And, a couple things that we'll go over in high level, is the form fills, is the AI chat, is the call to action options that you can use to enhance a website for a client so they opt in, so they engage with your customer. And at that point, if they're an existing customer or not, earn the business to get a review from them, right? To build that reputation. And because every business is a little bit different, there may be different reasons why we ask for reviews. We may ask for reviews after a consultation. We may ask for reviews because we gave some an intro or some sort of a presentation. So there's a variety of ways to ask for reviews, and there's creative ways. So knowing that's important, right? And as you start to do that, you bring an awareness to yourself with the market research and identifying the need of those businesses. And then you start to really leverage technology and marketing that's out there because businesses leave a lot of clues. And, some of the clues they leave could be on website directories like Yelp, Google. And depending on the area, maybe like a local newspaper site, maybe a local directory site for a town or a state. And typically the clues they leave are maybe sometimes in the About Us or the features and services they offer that they list in their profile. So really understanding where people are at online as an online footprint helps you determine how you can help them with their reputation. And the same goes for their competitors' reviews. And then looking, for businesses with some recent negative reviews can help. Sometimes there'll be some pushback around, well, aren't they all getting a lot of calls for it? Well, you'd be surprised. Some people don't even get any phone calls, right? Some people don't get any phone calls because the phone calls typically stem from them being in a busy area or doing a lot of advertising, like they're obvious. And sometimes, a business that does have a few bad reviews or one bad review may not be prominent in a search. So in this case, sliding down the Google Maps, going to the second, third page of a Yelp or a local business directory is fruitful. Jumping on a Chamber of Commerce website, member section is useful because there are a lot of businesses that are not on Google, believe it or not. So those are the businesses you also want to help because maybe they have reviews elsewhere outside of where you normally check. And what you'll learn is as you do some research on some of these businesses, when you Google their business name, you'll start to see where they're at. And then where they're at may be new to you. So like you may see a lot of people on a Better Business Bureau. Well, I'm not going to the Better Business Bureau to pick a business, but some people are in certain areas. You may find that they may be on yellowpages.com. Well, I'm not going to yellowpages.com, but some people may go to yellowpages.com because it shows up on the bottom search, right? As a pop out, and that pop out leads them to the yellowpages.com. So you start to almost like a little bit reverse engineer where these businesses are at. And now that also fuels the prospecting, right? So prospecting has everything to do with going where people are at, right? Going where people are at. So I want to slow down here for a minute, because there's a lot to digest here. Some of it is based off of personal experience. Some of it is based off of what I've witnessed on in my previous employments being in sales. A lot of it is from other high-level users that are chatting and sharing their best practices. So there's a wide variety here. But I'd like to know in the comments below. Share with me what you find is the hardest part of acquiring new customers. What is the hardest part for you to acquire new customers, right? Is it having to talk to people or kind of like get friendly with them to like understand and them to understand they can trust you, like that whole beginning part of the conversation, like meeting somebody cold? Is it the time that's required or the follow-up that kind of just, frustrates you? Like, I hate to just chase people, or, I'm really not a fan of like bothering people, right? Um, what really holds you back from just having those conversations with like building up these like likable relationships, right? Someone that says, "Hey man, what do you do? Like, I'm interested to know what you do." What holds you back, right? Couple responses here on YouTube, which prospecting, like the actual prospecting part is hard, right? So I can relate to that, right? Like, the time it takes, the patience it takes, the mental balance it takes, and then like the navigation of what's next, right? Like when's the right time to say this or the right time to do that? So definitely thanks for that. Finding prospects, that's also right. Finding prospects and talking to them, right, are two steps that have like five steps between them. Right. So I'm going to go over with you today where you can find the prospects, right? That's going to be a whole nice little area that we'll touch on. And then how can we set up the talking points to get an organic, fun conversation that's not just about what you have to offer, but what they need, right? So I'm going to jump over here to Facebook. Um, Having to make frequent follow-ups, it's just stressful, but they're always worth it. So I agree with you. I agree with you. Um, like we're at a time right now in business, and I feel like this fluctuates. This has like its seasons where we're like at all-time high where people don't trust anybody, right? Like they've caught on to the sales. They've caught on to today's the last day. They've caught on to the promotions, to the urgency. They could find it for cheaper, better, or free. So it's like, but from a salesperson's perspective, like, oh, I'm not gonna waste my time doing all this. Like, whether they want to buy or they don't want to buy, it is what it is, right? So it is a mental game, a mental reminder that you have to give yourself of just kind of staying pep and excited. Hard part here, people in denial to accept they have a problem. Yes, I mean this whole concept of like, nah, I'm good, man. I'm good, right? Like that comes up a lot, right? And then I have to bite my tongue because I'm like, you're really not good, and I want to show you why, because I actually have a long list of why you're not doing good. Let me go over that with you, and then by that time I've just offended them, and right, that's a whole other story, right? So obviously, maintaining a balance, right, and maintaining the excitement and the intent to help is key. But what was said here is true. Like people sometimes don't want to accept they have a problem, but they're willing to hear of a solution, but not take ownership that they need it. So then what? And that was a waste of time, right? And you could only go so much with getting that like uncovered. The time it takes to research a business to see who is even interested in my area. I agree. So the time it takes to research, right? That's like a whole that's my favorite part now. Like within high level, we just added the prospecting tool and we added a bunch of new features to it. But like I used to spend hours, right? Like I'm the type of person where I just want to have everything kind of almost perfect, but I'm okay if it's not, but just perfect enough where I can say, look, I did a lot of research and I feel good about it. But that takes time, like going on the Google, snippeting, copy and pasting, typing a little bit of a hypothesis, and then, putting some bullet points to support it. Then you're thinking, here are the potential 50 questions they may ask me, or here are the 50 rebuttals they may give me. And then you're jotting those down. So there's a lot of overthinking that can go into research and prep, but we're going to solve that today. That's going to go out the door. No more overthinking about this, whether you do it by design or not. We're just going to make it easy to prep, right? Right. So this is great feedback, y'all, and I appreciate y'all sharing it. And a lot of y'all are sharing the same concern, right? And that's good. So the content's going to support you on this. That's my commitment to you. So, as we're prospecting here with what we know now, what I've shared with you, and kind of giving you some insight on, we need to have fun doing this, and you got to find what your fun is. I call this like a work hobby, right? An entrepreneur hobby. And whether you love like the phone call, like you got to rock with the phone call, right? And you got to block out that time to make a few calls. And if you don't like it, you got to still do it a little bit so you at least don't get hesitant over it when you need to. Email, right? We have ChatGPT now, right? And the creative part with ChatGPT, and there's tons of courses on this. There's tons of examples that are out there. But like when you use ChatGPT, well, first of all, do any of you here frequently use ChatGPT when putting some content together? Let me know in the chat below. Are you using ChatGPT or any AI assistant, whether it's Claude or any of these versions, remixes of what we call AI? Any of you using those? Okay, we got a few people that are using it, which is great. But there's still a handful that are not. And so, if you're not using this, here's what I need you to start considering the use case for. You're not using it because you don't want to write. Absolutely not. You're using it because you want to just open up the creativity in your mind and the perspective in your mind to put yourself in the shoes of the ideal avatar you want to work with. So here's an example. You go into ChatGPT, and let's say, for example, we're going to be reaching out to today we're going to reach out to a couple of tree service owners, right? And I'm going to go a little specific here because it's important, right? The whole spray and pray approach today, it's one of those things that the prospects are aware of. Like this whole general message doesn't work as it used to, right? So let's say we're working with tree service people. Maybe you really don't know much about tree cutting, stump removal, or just the life of a tree business owner, right? So when you go into ChatGPT, I go this route. I'll take a Google Doc and I'll put the voice annotation on. And I'll kind of do like what I'm doing now. I'm just going to chat with it like I'm talking to somebody. So I'll be like, help me understand the life of a business owner that serves their customers with tree removal, stump removal, landscaping, and just overall lawn and care. What are the obstacles they deal with when trying to attract new customers, when trying to build their business, when trying to charge a little bit more than the others in their area? And as I'm talking this into my microphone and it's annotating, it's transcribing it into my Google Doc, I then take that, copy and paste what it's annotated, and I put it into ChatGPT just as I said it, and it's going to start to put itself in the shoes of a tree business owner. And it's going to share with you everything that you asked for, like what it's like to be a tree business owner. This, that, and the other that I mentioned. That's a framework for you then to create some messaging around. Now, today, for business owners, so like, high ticket sales, small ticket sales, business owners, entrepreneurs, marketers, everybody has their way of buying. What I've learned over the years is that business owners, less is more, and less complicated is always better. Less techy is always ideal. No matter how much they know or they don't know, they don't want to be challenged. They don't want the potential of feeling that they don't know something, right? So it's better to be less than more. But at least touching on the emotional right? Emotional obstacle is a start, and then mentioning the solution and the potential of solving that without having to go through a growing pain is even better. But here's the pro tip, and I have to remind myself, and I get reminded this often by colleagues, by other industry professionals. What we're not selling, we're not selling the drill, right? We're not selling the drill. We're selling the hole the drill makes. We're not selling the drill. The drill is powerful. There's a whole aisle, whether you go to Lowe's, Home Depot, Harbor Freight, your local retail store, there's a whole aisle of drills of all different prices. We're not selling that, right? Just like there's a whole aisle of people that sell marketing. We're not selling that. We're selling the result of what that drill does, the result of what your expertise and your tool will do for the business owner that's experiencing what you've learned is the potential they may be experiencing. So that's how you really leverage AI, right? You leverage AI by letting it use its knowledge and the information of what it knows about a business type, and then you educating yourself. And now you're able to start building that that thread of this content and asking the questions. And now you've built out somewhat of a small, but mighty, short, but direct, right, cadence of communications. And that's something that's powerful because as you keep this messaging consistent with your prospects, whether it's a bucket of 10, a bucket of 100, you're able to see what's working and where you really need to pivot. And here's a mistake that people make. I've also made it when prospecting. You try something 3 to 5 times and then you switch it right away. There's got to be a little bit of there has to be consistency and more than a little bit. Right? Caught myself there. There has to be more than a little bit of consistency, and you have to have a message that you're confident in and can keep it going to see a result, right? And the aha moment for me, and you'll have your set of aha moments, but the aha moment for me is as I'm looking at the comments here, a lot of you weren't using AI the way I shared how I use it, right? And call it the lazy way, call it the cheat code way, but it's just I'm trying to be efficient, and I'm trying to learn as I go. And I'd rather you learn as you go than learn um, as a result of fail, fail, fail. Learn as you go proactively, right? So all of this also evolves into networking, right? So as you're going to networking events, whether they're virtual or in person, whether you're talking to somebody on social media, messenger, or commenting, understanding, especially if it's a group or an organization or a gathering of a specific type of business owners, blue collar, service businesses, techie business owners. There's a variety of these remixes of groups that people join based on how they identify themselves. And then they are with those like-minded people they identify themselves as. Right. So it's like a clique almost, right? So, you have to know how to speak to the masses. The one-to-many is important. The one-to-one is great as you get them as a client, or they give you the time to go a little bit more in depth. So if that's helpful, I just wanted to build some foundation here because as I fly through a majority of this content, some of it you probably know already. But really, do you know what you really need to know? Which is, what can I do to implement that I can stay consistent with, that'll give me a promising return on my time, knowledge, and energy that I could justify is worth doing for at least 30 days or at least 2 hours a day. Because, if we, in a given month, right, we're prospecting, let's say we're prospecting, 3 hours a day, over the 30 days, that's 90 hours of prospecting. Right? You got 90 hours of prospecting. 90 hours, right? And you look back at 90 hours and you're like, how can I justify my 90 hours? Like, what did I get out of it? Well, what you should be getting out of 90 hours is a nice solid pipeline of qualified candidates that are interested, that are having a two-way conversation with you, that you are either have them on a beta, you have them on a trial, you have them on an introductory offer. Whether they don't sign up, maybe they're making introductions to you to their network, they're introducing you into group chats, they're inviting you to speak at their events. So like, you know, I don't want you to pressure yourselves into micromanaging your KPIs, but you have to have KPIs. So, what are some of the KPIs that you can use to do a checkup from the neck up when you're doing phone calls, when you're doing emails, when you're doing networking events, when you're doing social media outreach? So, let's start with the phone calls. Definitely keeping track of how many calls you make. You could do that in high level, right? And making notes of the calls you make and how they turn out is important because you could pull a report in high level. So you could do like a little bit of a high level overview of where you're at and what you did. Email wise, you can email from high level, right? And you could attach that email within the conversation log. So you could pull a report at the end of the week or the end of the day and see, okay, this person got 10 emails over, 15 days, or this person hasn't opened up any of my emails. So with phone calls and emails, you'll be able to see connection rate and opening rate, click rate. Those are important KPIs. And if you're not used to that, maybe you're used to doing this in pen and paper. We got to shift that, right? Because what you do is what you teach. What you do is what you believe. And what people buy from you is what they believe and what you teach them, right? So want to make sure we're shifting that. When it comes to networking, High Level just launched this new feature where you have the business card reader within your app. So like for those that do have business cards, like people still do business cards, scanning those business cards, getting their information and then communicating with them the way they prefer, whether it's text or email. Making notes of people that you meet and how they went and then following up, right? So if I'm at a networking event for an hour, hour and a half, and I meet five people, two out of the five are business owners. The third out of the five has a family that just opened up a new business that's having a grand opening in 2 days. The fourth is the president of the Chamber of Commerce. And the fifth is somebody that's planning on opening a business. They're just waiting for the township to approve their permit. That's a good networking event, right? Again, no one pulled up their wallet for me, but they opened up their mouth, they opened up their ears, and they opened up the conversation. Conversations convert. Like that's big to know. If you don't have a conversation, there's no conversion. However you plan or hope, there has to be this and this, whether it's text talk, to get this. That's the only way it's going to happen, right? So conversations lead to conversions. Same with social media. Even like in our groups, right? Like I'll get these random messages from people. Hey, you want to buy this, or I'm an expert at this. Like I'm like, good for you. Not interested. Block. Like that. And I remember who I block. Like I, from time to time, will look at my block list, right? Because I just want to be that aware of like I don't want to talk to that person because they're going to pitch me something right away, right? So how you handle social media is by organically communicating, right? Commenting, liking. Like if you're friends with someone on Facebook, and let's say you don't know them personally, liking three or four of their photos, just not all of them being selfies, not all of them being, of their kids or of them, just, having fun. Like try to find a business one, right? Try to find one of them taking a photo of a landscape or of a view, right? Try to avoid like that creepy vibe of somebody liking all your selfies. Like that's awkward. That's going to get you blocked, right? And as you do that, you'll start to see what I mean. And then, comment, right? If they post something about business, respond to that. If they post a rant, stay away. Stay away from the rants. So before we move on here, is that helpful with like the KPIs of prospecting, the conversations, the approaches that you should kind of consider based off of experience personally and working with thousands of others? Go ahead and let me know in the comments. Right. Cool. And with that foundation built, let's have a little bit of fun. So I'm going to call it like it is. When you're in business for yourself, it's stressful. It's hard. It's exhausting, especially in a marketing business, especially if you're bootstrapping it and you're using your own money out of your pocket and you're not paying yourself because you're paying everybody else or your team or your VA, right? So you lose a lot of the fun right off the bat. Well, you have to find a way to balance it. And the best advice I can give to you is you have to find a way to put yourself in the employee mindset and the no stress mindset. Because if you don't, every time you talk to somebody, it's going to sound exhausting, right? So attending these networking events is a great way to bring out the fun in you, right? Is the great way to get out and about and meet people. As you meet people at these events, these people typically have the same goal as you, meeting someone to either help them or someone to do business with. So I'll get you a list of where you can go to do that online and locally. And there are a handful like that I've listed here, like BNI, BNI.com, Business Networking International. They have online format and in person. LaTip has primarily in person. Happy Networking Project, hnpproject.com, has pretty much all online by states and time zones. And then meetup.com is a great one if you're looking to meet some other people that really go above and beyond. Like when Meetup is the type of crowd, like they really go above and beyond to build a community. Either it's they're meeting once a week, twice a week. They're looking for subject matter experts to contribute to the group. So you'll find the little knickknack of each group and why it's successful, and then you have to leverage that, right, and put that in your calendar or make time for it based on the needs of your business and what you're doing. And as we expand on that, there are many other sources of meeting people, right? I like to call it making business owner friends. Now, to make a friend, you got to typically sometimes be the first person to start the conversation. And if you're not the first person, well, whomever is the first person took the same advice that you're taking, right? Start the conversation and let it nurture from there. Don't force it, but start it, right? And you'll have the privilege of having conversations started, on your behalf or with you, but you'll also have to step out and start them yourself. And some great places to start them at the local chamber of commerce. They typically have by town or county or state. They even have them by ethnicity, like Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, African Chamber of Commerce, Native Indian Chamber of Commerce. They have a variety of different niches of the chambers. So going onto their website locally, finding out their events page typically has a lot. Another little trick I like to do is jump to the members directory. There'll be a handful there as well, and pretty much everything I share, the members directory is there, and the events page is there. And sometimes there's a small fee, sometimes they're free. Industry associations, the painters associations, the seal coating association, the property management association. Like there's a variety of associations out there. Pretty much every profession has one. Participating in those professional associations do cost a premium, whether it's on a quarterly or an annual. You have to determine if you want to commit to that and really be a part of it, right? Be excited about it because they're looking for people to bring value. It's not just about the donation. It's not just about the membership or the logo. It's about what value could you really bring to us, right? And then you have a variety of like small private business networking groups, professional meetups, networking events, whether they're happy hours, breakfasts, and a variety of others. I do want to mention like with trade shows and expos, typically you'll find a small amount of founders, owners, or small business owners that have a table. But typically at those events, it's a salesperson, some sort of events coordinator, of someone that does events for the company. Typically, not the founder's not there, or someone they're really a bigger business, typically for the tables and what it costs to be part of it. But like local business events are great, like Breakfast with Santa, Easter Bunny gathering. Like those are events that you can sponsor or have a table at And because business owners have families too, and business owners typically live within the area they serve, well, they'll be at those events with their kids. And just the visibility alone can bring that aha moment. I've been thinking about working with someone to do this, or I know I need to be doing this. And like, what's the chance of me meeting you here? Like, these are the small moments that like the back of the thought comes to the front of the mind, which is implementation mode, right? So as you have to implement, like business owners need to implement too on their initiatives, right? And then you have, development workshops like the SBDC, Small Business Development, has several workshops. Those are typically paid. The subject matter experts are there. You'll meet a few business owners that are open to chat, but there's like no pitching, no like real networking established there. It's usually you'll meet them after the fact. But if university, college, alumni events are great too. Again, depending on what you serve, your business type, what your goal is, your experience, you can find people any of these places. So I share this with you because there is no shortage of opportunity. There's only shortage of interest, excitement, and balance of the mind and implementation on your end. This really just comes down to you. And I don't want you to sign off on me here now because I'm holding you accountable. I'm trying to tell you what it is. But like I've been there too. I've had all the great ideas, but I'm like, I'll do that tomorrow. No, we got to do it today. So here's my tip. Pro tip, make a calendar far in advance, whether you're going to dedicate 2 events a month that you're going to attend, 1 event that you're going to sponsor, phone calls you're going to make on an every other day basis, emails that you're going to create to auto schedule. Put this stuff together and follow your plan, right? It'll help tremendously. And, as you start to now have this plan, you start to get more curious organically. You start to be more excited organically. You start to see the clues of success nearby. So the question that always pops up is, John, where do I find more of these events? So this is how you find them. Jump on Google, type in business networking events in the Google search, add your city or region, refine it by date and nearby location. You're going to find sites like Eventbrite, Meetup, and Facebook events. Here's a pro tip. Organizers of these events don't always post their event everywhere for a couple of reasons. 1, they don't know how. 2, they don't have the time. 3, they have a personal opinion that it's not going to work if I post it in that particular area. And 4, it's the limiting belief of I just got to get something done to get it done. I got to move on to my other task. Right? So like these are some things you need to be prepared for because you will not find the same event on all major sites. Only the big companies do that with big budgets, right? They have that structure. We're working with small to medium-sized businesses. There's a little bit of a lack of structure, which is why there's a need for us, right? So you have that here. You have the resources. Screenshot it. Go on the replay. Keep it. Like this stuff is like, if I was competing with you in sales, like this is what I would use to bypass you on the leaderboard. This is what I would use to get to President's Club before you. This is what I would use to fill my pockets with monthly recurring revenue because I don't have to worry about pulling the lever and pushing the buttons for a software. High Level will do all that for me. I just got to worry about meeting people, building relationships, and following up. I'll do that all day. So this is what I would do to get that machine going. Get the machine going. I mean, if you believe what I'm saying here can help you, let me know because I'm okay with giving you some more nuggets, but I don't want to put you to sleep either. Right? I don't want to put you to sleep. I don't want to preach. I don't want to speak one way. I want to make sure we're on the same page here, right? I want to make sure we're on the same page here that what I'm giving you is valuable in your area. If you're in an area with very little businesses, very, very quiet, like let me know your conditions of where you're at, and I'll share with you because I've had the opportunity to go to the Midwest, the South, East, West, and just kind of figure it out while I was with sales reps out of their training. Like I've been in some awkward situations and we made out of it really well with a sale, with a customer, right? So I want to help you acquire those new customers, right? You get your first 2 or 3 new customers, like just listening to me here, man, this is like the roller coaster. It's the slow climb. And then once you go downhill, It's loop-de-loop-de-loop-de-loop-de-loop, high up loop-de-loop. You know, if you like roller coasters, let me know what's your favorite roller coaster. But look at this as like the beginning of an amazing roller coaster ride, right? You're yelling, you're screaming, you're having fun. You'll never forget it. But it's that beginning part where you just doubt it. Is my seatbelt on right? Did I pick the right ride? Is this really what I want to experience right now? Is this going to even give me, the satisfaction that I was looking forward to? And then boom, it happened. So I want you to look at this as that adrenaline rush that's about to happen, right? So now that we have, right, our approach of going outside of our arm's reach, right? I want to go alligator arm reach now. I want to go alligator arm reach, right? There's a couple of you from the sunny state here. I'm going to go alligator arm reach at you, right? I want to go to my immediate network, right? My immediate network. I mean, I can't even reach my pockets, how short my arms are. Can't even reach my pockets. That's how network I want to go, close network, right? So how do we do that? Why do we do it? What's the benefit of it? How many of you believe that there's some great opportunities in your personal network that you may not even be aware of? Let me know in the comments. Right? There is. So I want to share a little bit of a concept here. There's many different ways to name it, many different ways to describe it. Some people call it a dream 5, a dream 25, a dream 50. You add dream and any number to it, it's going to work fine. But here's the kicker. It's taking the time to actually do the outreach, the follow-up. I'm not even saying research, because I'm going to give you the pro tip for the research. You just got to do the outreach, like build that organic, friendly, non-salesy outreach, and then you got to do the follow-up, right? Just, hey, how are you? Like sometimes, and here's what I'll share with you, and maybe a few of you could relate. I am like a real into my like in my own world kind of guy, like right, like I'm not part of like a lot of chat threads where I'm talking about sports or I'm bashing people on TV shows, or I'm not really like I'm very like to myself and quiet, right? I just prefer it that way. I could have fun, I could be out there and about, but I'm just like reserved, right? If I don't get 5 messages in a day, I'm okay with it, right? So a lot of you may feel the same way where like, oh, I got to reach out to this person. They're never going to stop talking my ear off. Or what am I going to say? Or I don't really talk to them often. Right? So you have to find some commonality. And here's a few ways to find some commonality. Maybe they're on Facebook. Maybe they're on Facebook and you like some of their comments and you jump into their message, say, oh man, I've been following some of your posts and man, it sounds like looks like you're doing a lot of fun things, man. I can't believe you jumped off that plane and you've been traveling the world. Like, would love to know, like how is that going for you, right? Like just finding a way with your personality and what they know of you, what you know of them, and just having that conversation, right? So the dream list is people that you're familiar with, or that you feel familiar with and you want to work with, right? So like I've seen dream lists where it's like a bunch of influencers, a bunch of celebrities, a bunch of high profile people. And I've also seen professionals that build those lists, those dream lists, reach out to them consistently. They join their webinars, they make comments, they send them messages, they share stories. And it's usually a one-way conversation. They'll send them a message, never get a reply back. But they send them a message frequently. One person that's really good at this is Gary Vee, right? Like many people will feel like Gary Vee is, unreachable, right? But more and more, he shows people that he's more human. And, maybe you comment on his post and maybe he doesn't respond to your comment every time or ever. But the one time that you try to get on his live video, or the one time you send him a message, he responds back, right? Because it's the timing, but it's also being familiar to him, being familiar to that person. And I've seen that in my way too, where I've manifested, my dream list, and I've followed them on LinkedIn. I comment on their page. I show support. I'm not doing it like in a groupie way or in a fanatic way. I'm doing it in more of like, hey, bro, that's a great idea. I'm going to put that into play, right? Like being a human, right, is important. And as you do that, people make note, they recognize. So I want you, when you build your dream list, build a big list of maybe people that you really want to work with that you feel that are out of reach, but also build a list in your network or on your phone of people that you'd like to help out. And you start to prioritize it and keep it top of mind. The key with the Dream 100 is top of mind. Keep it top of mind. And the benefit of keeping it top of mind is that you're more aware, so it comes off more authentic, more natural, and they become more receptive to your message. And you utilize this flow, and you start to nurture these conversations, whether it's one way or 60% of you doing the work, right? Like you're gonna balance this out as it's worth it to you, and you'll determine when it's no longer worth it to you, right? But the goal here is to facilitate meaningful conversation. So you have to figure out what is meaningful to them as much as it's meaningful to you, right? And as you start to build this list, you understand their business, right? Let's say, you're working with a handful of chiropractors. Well, maybe you use ChatGPT, you find out what a life of a chiropractor is like, find out the hard parts of having a chiropractor business, you find out the fun parts, you find out some of the cool hobbies that chiropractors like to do based on some blogs that are out there. And now you have a relatable conversation track that you can, after you research the business, which I'll show you how, you explore what they do and how they do it, you could tailor a great conversation and add some fun and relatability to it. Like that's the human side right now of sales. Like no matter if you're watching or reading sales books and sales training, I have a whole library here of this stuff that I've accumulated, like probably like you, right? Throw all that out the window if you're not going to be personable. Throw it all out of the window if you're not going to be personable. So help me understand with today's demand for authenticity, today's demand for organic, non-salesy outreach, for doing enough research to be considered worth the time to chat with. What are you going to do to strike those meaningful initial conversations? What is your plan that if you go to a networking event, how are you going to strike a meaningful conversation, right? If you're going into the DMs or into a message from someone that's in a group, how are you going to stand out without sending a long message with a sales pitch to it? With what you've learned now, what are you going to do to stand out, right? I like to know in the comments because I believe that it's that important, right? If we can learn from each other a little bit here of what one's going to do, I can probably get a clue or two. But I'll tell you what not to do. Don't do anything that I've shared in the sense of copy paste, long sales pitches, urgency call to actions when you're trying to get to know somebody, right? And overall, as you start to build this interested list of people that you want to get to know and talk to, the follow-up is organic, and you're not being overly persistent. You're providing value. You're addressing concerns. You're having natural conversations. And you may be saying, John, who's got time for all this? Who's got time for all this? Well, that's the tax you have to pay to be in business. There's a tax for everything. The tax you have to pay to be an entrepreneur is knowing how much and how often you need to do this. It's almost like how much salt do you put in your food? How much sodium do you put in your food? How much caffeine do you drink a day? How much working out do you do? How heavy do you lift? All of that matters. And there's no set number. There's no set measurement. It's really built on a little bit of intuition and experience. The visual, the taste, the see, the hear, all your senses. Same applies in this format as well with sales and prospecting. There's no one size fits all. This is a little bit of everything, right? But I will tell you that you start to find more time when you start leveraging more automation tools. So let's kind of walk this through here. Let's kind of walk this through, right? So I gave you a bunch of information on how to find prospects. I gave you a bunch of information on how to have some fair conversations. I gave you a bunch of information on some mental awareness, on some, you got to be open-minded on getting this done and having a plan, right? So that's all great. Now we start putting it into action. Well, John, it's only me. Okay. It's you plus high level, though. It's you plus high level and 500 features. It's you plus high level on a support team. It's you plus high level in your reputation management feature. So it's not just you, right? Because if it was just you, you'd be writing manual emails yourself. If it was just you, you would send one by one text messages from your phone. If it was just you, you wouldn't probably be this far in your journey of wanting to grow and excel, right? So you've had support. So I want to just make sure you're aware now that we're at the stage of the concept is here. You have to do the talking, the listening, the watching, the back and forth, the personality, right? But now you could use the AI chat when those messages come back. You could use the pre-scheduled SMS alerts when that goes out, whether you put your contacts in or follow up. You can create an email marketing campaign and get that out to your audience. You can make a video like this, record it, right? Definitely shorter than 2 hours, 5 minutes. Put it on your website, drive traffic to it. You could take this video and email it. You could have a YouTube channel, let it be absorbed by your potential audience. And now you're leveraging your networking events. You're leveraging your social media. You're leveraging your phone calls. You're leveraging your drip campaigns, the associations that you joined. And now they're coming to you out of curiosity. Oh, what's this website? Oh, this is the website. Let me press the button here. Hey, saw you. I'm interested in learning more. AI chat takes over. Super excited. You're interested to learn more. What is it you're looking to? What kind of questions do you have? And now you're out and about talking to somebody. Your AI chat's yapping away. You get an alert. You're jumping now into the AI chat, right? And now you're taking over the conversation. Now you're telling the person you're talking to, I'll call you right back. And now you're taking over the conversation. You're booking an appointment. Or maybe the AI chat booked an appointment for you and now you got to show up. Maybe you built a webinar and because of all the outreach you're doing, the networking you're doing, people are starting to see you more often. They're starting to search your name. They're starting to go to your website. You're putting a bunch of information on your website. You're giving them things to consume and they're consuming it. And there's this parasocial relationship that establishes. It's this relationship of, I feel like I know him, but I don't know him. I feel like I know her, but I don't know her. But they sound like they know what they're talking about. They sound like they know what they're doing. I'm going to take an appointment. I'm going to give them a call. I think they can help me. That's all it takes. If you agree with that, let me know. Right? If you think I'm just in my own little world right now, thinking that, this is the way you should do because of hopes and dreams, I hope that's not what you're thinking, right? I'm doing this. I'm sharing what I see experts do. I'm seeing more and more 18-year-olds, 22-year-olds, 26-year-olds, 35-year-olds, 60-year-olds, 70-year-olds building courses, building webinars, building websites, selling services by video, networking, online engagement, call to actions, and personality. They're not just cold calling as their source of relationships. They're not just emailing as their sole source of appointments. They're doing a combination of everything where the market is at for their industry. So I hope this kind of paints a bigger picture on you're not doing all the manual work yourself. You're going to leverage high level as you learn it, which this is why you have to learn it. The AI chat, the reputation management, the SMS, the email, the pipeline, right? All these features matter. They all work together, right? So we got a whole lot to cover here. We're not going to cover everything in this in this particular challenge. I'm going to give you what you need, but I will tell you this, you'll probably end up coming back for more because every time we do a challenge like this, I'm adding a little bit more nuggets and experience based on the last group that joined me. So y'all have provided me a wealth of information here to kind of just keep adding on, right? So as we start to build the network, we start to build the awareness, we're doing modern prospecting. We're not doing historical prospecting. We're not doing back in the day prospecting. We're doing modern prospecting. And you might say, what do you mean by modern, John? Like what's modern to you may not be modern to me. You look a little older than me. Well, that's fine. But here I'll tell you what modern is. Modern is using high level. And I could tell you there's a lot of big names that use it. There's a lot of successful people that use it. There's a lot of new people that are not techie that use it. There are a lot of people that are right in the middle of tech sales, right? That use it. And they're using it because it has a CRM in it. Keeps control of their contacts, keeps it easy. Whether they're on the run or in the mix, they can go to their contact list and take action. It's easy to pull up a business and what's wrong with that business. What's the opportunity? Easy to do that right away. Couple clicks. It's easy to be on social media, to post on LinkedIn, to post on Facebook, to post on Instagram, TikTok, and get your message out. All with one area, right? Because we know that social media matters. We know as much as we don't want, or much as we hope it didn't, or as much as we wish it was more of, you got to be online to be noticed, right? You got to sit at the lunch table with the cool kids to be considered a cool kid, right? But you have to be in school to be cool, right? So look at social media as just being around like-minded people that are like you, that want to grow, maybe aren't into messaging and networking, but they just want their business to be seen. That's what you need to know. People just want to be seen. And if you engage with them, they'll engage back, right? And this is where potential clients are at, whether they enjoy it because they get to hide behind the keyboard or the phone, or because they're super busy, they don't have the time, or they leverage this as a way of researching before committing mentally and time-wise. A lot of varieties of how you use social media, especially as a business owner, right? So, creating a webinar, creating collateral that could be put out there, that could be consumed at someone's convenience is key. So here's my challenge to you. Why don't you go ahead and create yourself a 10-minute about one topic and record it, and then throw it in the Facebook group when you're done. Just pick one topic that you feel a business owner that you would like to attract would consume, and what would the value they would get out of it, and share it in our Facebook group. And I promise you, once you do it once and you get some great feedback, you won't stop. You will not stop. And I'm speaking from personal experience. This used to frighten me, but the confidence builds up through practice and encouragement, right? So as you're doing this, you're building up the pipeline. What do you mean, John? Well, as you're doing these relationships, you're doing these chattings, you're doing this exposure, people will click to learn more. People will submit their information for a callback. People will book an appointment and not show up. People will send you a message and not reply back. People will respond to your email, then ghost you. But you put them on your pipeline. You do enough due diligence about the business of where you can help them. And you put them in your cadence, your nurture campaign. And now the platform is doing the heavy lifting for you. Now you have to set this up. And that's why our support team and our trainings help you do that. But if you set this up, it'll do the nurturing. It'll do the nurturing. And now we get into this flow of like, all right, man, I need more people. I need more people. Show me the people. And you're like, what are you talking about, John? Well, I'll tell you what I'm talking about. When you get the swag, you get the confidence, you get the small mini wins, you get the views, you get the responses, you get the comments, you get the acknowledgments that you're helping people. You see the results that you're helping people. You see people are excited about talking to you and getting to know you and referring you. Well, it's like open gates at that point. And now the question becomes, how can I meet more people so I can have that more of an impact? So now you'll end up finding yourself going on Angie's List and finding other contractors there. You'll go on Home Advisor, start finding contractors there. You'll go on Yelp, start finding restaurants there. You'll go on all these different places to start being familiar with new names. And you'll start sending messages. Because when you look at their name there, it's not on Google. Well, you're missing out. Hey, pal, I noticed that you're on this site, but you're not on Google. Are you brand new? Oh, I've been around for 20 years. Well, I'm sorry, no one's talked to you about this in 19 years and 364 days. I apologize on their behalf, but you're missing out. You're leaving money on the table. You mind if I show you? Like, I'm local. You mind if I show you what I do? How I meet people like you, whether it's at the Lowe's or the Home Depot, and what I help them out with? And now they're like, well, yeah, what's your name, kiddo? Or where you from? Or how'd you get my number? Right? Like, now you have a conversation. Now you have a conversation. See, conversations convert. Now, if they hang up on you, no conversation, no conversion. So we want to just get the conversation going. You're in charge of the conversation. So now as you find places to have conversations, they're unlimited. They are unlimited. So, and maybe you don't like doing home service business. Maybe you like working with realtors and property management. Well, there are websites for those industries alone too. And those websites have people with good reviews and bad reviews. What's really nice about real estate agents, property managers, mortgage loan professionals, that typically they have like another career or another job, and this is typically like what they're building upon or what they're really good at, and it's on autopilot. So they've set aside a marketing budget or a prospecting or a growth fund to support their efforts, whether it's promoting on paid ads, billboards, whatever the case may be, or they're partnering with somebody who's sponsoring those payments to these types of services. So you're leaving a lot of money on the table if you're not reaching out to those folks as well. But again, it's a saturated market where they're getting pitched and outreached, as if they're cold meat every day. So they're getting DMs, messages, they're getting bombarded. You really have to stand out with a nice, intentional way of helping, or at least getting to know them. And you'll have to be the judge of how you do that. But then maybe you just enjoy it because you have past experience in the healthcare space, right? So you jump on Health Grades, Rate MDs, Vital. Like there's a bunch of doctors in your area that you'll never find on Google because Google's only going to show you who they want to show you. They're going to show you who's most relevant with the most reviews, who's nearby you. But if you go to these sites, these are typically directories, and you go to those directories, well, they're typically added from the healthcare directory of, like, let's say it's Blue Cross Blue Shield. They'll scrape those directories and put them on their website, right? So these are aggregate sites that are grabbing data from other places. Well, these are some hidden gems in there. You might find a 1-2 person practice that's just having a hard time, and you're never going to know unless you have a conversation, right? And again, these sites are also great to cross-reference competitors, cross-reference where your potential business that you're working with is at. Restaurants, right? Another source. Now, I want you to take this another level now. Think about your vacation destination that you enjoy going to, right? Maybe it's outside of the country, but they're outside of the country, but they accept US currency. They're outside of the country, but they advertise on US websites and magazines. Maybe they don't have regular SMS, but they have WhatsApp. Well, here's the kicker. Here's the best part. You can still communicate with them with WhatsApp, a business WhatsApp from your high level, right? So if you at least have a clue of where they're advertising now, you could reference that and say, hey, look, you're still missing out on a few things. I'm sure this is working great for you, but what I really want to help you out with is how to get more reviews here, because this is where people also look when planning their vacation or their excursions when they go here or there or wherever you're at. Again, so this is about creativity on knowing how to position your superpower of helping them with their reputation in their business model, in their business category, in their business type. Right? That's the key here. And as you truly, 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 right, understand this, you really get really good at it. And that's the power. Med spas, right? Variety. And you probably see a couple of recurrences. They're on Yelp too. They're on Google Business. Well, they're also on TripAdvisor, on RealSelf. These are just to name a few. There's still more sites. And then you have the ultimate review source. Dun, 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 Google, right? It's integrated with search and maps. It's integrated on Google Chrome on the phones. It's on every desktop, laptop, right? The universal usage, the acceptance, the end all be all, right? People use it as a verb. They use it as an adjective. They use it as any English technical grammar. They use it as. But because you're on it doesn't mean you're guaranteed results. Doesn't mean you're guaranteed inquirers. You have to optimize the profile and high level with your brand on it, with your business white label brand. There are integrations and features and opportunities within that connect with the reputation management to optimize the Google business profile. Because when I say optimize, I just want you to know what it means. Really means this: consistency. It really just means consistency. Consistency with your name, address, phone number. Consistency with posting photos. Consistency with your hours. Consistency with your response to reviews. Consistency with your updates on what's new in your business. Consistency with responding back when Google sends you a message, right? When someone sends you a message on is your business open or will you be open at this time? Right? And it's the ultimate review because it's always proved value to people. It has a high trust factor. Right? The reviews are perceived as value. Right? There's detailed insights, whether it's busy, potential traffic, potential this, potential that, feedback, all there. So yes, you should lean in with Google, but you should be aware of what supports it. So Google in the middle, like back in the day, they used to say like Google, Yahoo, Bing. I really don't hear about Yahoo and Bing anymore. I hear about Google, I hear about Yelp, I hear about, a couple other sites. But again, it could just be the circle I'm in or what I'm exposed to. But if I'm in another part of the world, maybe it's a couple other sites, but I can almost bet everything that Google will still be the core. And maybe the other sites around it are just more local or more relevant to that area. So, omnipresence is important, right? And I'm seeing a few of you are making some great comments. And I want you to know that I see what you're saying and I appreciate it. And what you're saying is absolutely right. But saying it is different than doing it. So how are you going to go out in the marketplace, get it done? Right? Just like I'm doing here, where we're in this conversation, we're in this meeting, we're in this training. Well, it takes effort. So you got to put effort into your end too, right? Because here's the end all be all. Google reviews impacts your SEO, right? I'm not gonna claim I know exactly how to do it. I'm not gonna claim that this is why it does it or exactly here's how you go about it. I just know. Google sets the standard on it. They've put it in their documentation. Google reviews plays a big part in your SEO. Your name, address, phone number plays a big part. Your consistency plays a big part, right? This boosts your online presence. So if you're not boosting it, you're losing it. And as we evolve on here, right? Well, no one's going to do this by hand, one by one, right? So Google gets it that we got to put everything all in one. So they have the Google Business Profile Manager where it handles the home, the posts, the info, the insights, the reviews, the message, right? Well, so does High Level. And when you connect your customers' Google Business to High Level, it just syncs everything together. And you have that view without logging into their Gmail and their G account and this account. Right? So know this product. Know that high level complements Google, and Google will complement high level, and you will fill the gap on those that are not on Google or are not on high level. And I say high levels because you're my customer. My customer are marketers, marketing agencies, entrepreneurs. Those are my customers. Your customer will know high level by your brand, by what you name it. So if you're not on it yet, what are you missing out on? If you're watching me here with you and you haven't yet logged in, why? You're leaving money on the table. And I think at the end of the day, you should know this. The manual way of doing marketing isn't going to cut it forever. You have to get your account set up so you can then put a software solution like a utility bill in place for your customers and get paid and help people get results. So stop sitting around and take action, because that's what we're about to do next, right? And that's the only way we're going to get enhanced visibility. That's the only way we're going to take control of our customers' destiny, right? So I want to get into here a couple of things that are going to be important with you to actually see in action. I want you to see this in action. If you want to see what I'm talking about live, go ahead and throw in the chat. Let's see it live. Let's see it in high level, right? Because we're almost at time here. We're almost at time. So it's that important that we get you into what you need to start doing once this call's over. All right. Pull this up here. I'll do a little two-factor authentication. One moment. Pull this up here. If you got questions, throw them in the chat, because I'm coming right back. You got questions, throw them in the chat. Right. Let's get this going here. Let me share my screen. All right. So let's just kind of backtrack here. John, you did all this yapping, all this talking. You got me pumped up to go meet strangers and go to events and network. I got a bunch of people now that are interested in what I have to offer, and they want me to kind of build up this plan of solving their problems, and they just don't want me to solve their reviews problem, or they want me to solve a couple of things with their branding, but I don't know really where to look 100%. You talk about this prospecting tool. Could you show me how that works? Absolutely. So you go into your agency view, the agency dashboard. You go to the prospecting tab. In the prospecting tab, you have a couple of options. You can add a prospect manually. So you can add a person's business name information, right? Or you could search for a prospect, right, in a given area, right? So let's say, I just want to find, chiropractors, Dallas, Texas. Right, so this is going to show me. So, yes, I could go into Google and look for chiropractors in Dallas, Texas. I know that, we understand that. But if I do the search through the prospecting tool, it's going to share with me what I need immediately, which is the review ratings. If their Google business profile is claimed, if it's not claimed, it's a great opportunity. If they're using WordPress, which is also good to know, because there's a handful of websites that don't use WordPress and they may be lacking, and their potential conversion rate. And if I have questions about this, I could just click on the little I for info and click for details. So let's just go. Let's see here. We got a handful of results here. Right. Let's click on this 4-6, the Joint. Right, so the Joint Chiropractic is a franchise. They got a bunch of locations. This one's located in the Dallas area. This has their dedicated website that's attached to their Google business profile. If I got a point of contact, let's throw it in. This information carries over when you create the prospect account. So it's very efficient to do it, right? So I hit save prospect, right? I'm pulling this from Google and I'm bringing it into high level now. I want to take action on it within high level. It's going to run a report for me. Now, while this is running the report, let me go over a few things here. From personal experience, I would create these reports and I would accumulate them like pennies, right? Right? And I mean, I'm not the type to pull out a bag of pennies and make a purchase. The pennies usually just stay on my desk. Well, I was keeping these just on my desk, right? I don't want you to do that. I want you to treat these like dollars, right? We typically have dollars in our pocket and we spend them, whether it's with plastic or paper, right? I want you to take this and treat it like dollars, because every one that you create is the potential of dollars, right? And we're not looking at dollars from a one time, we're looking at dollars from a monthly recurring revenue. So let's say this joint chiropractor, I end up having a great conversation with the marketing manager, end up meeting the regional manager. Let's say it's a longer process than usual. And I sign them up for our reputation management because they want to improve it. They have a great reputation score, but they just want more. They're seeing the volume. They're seeing 150 or so patients a week easily for one chiropractor. They have 4 chiropractors. So they're seeing 400 patients, right, a week. In a given month, that's 1,600 patients. 4 chiropractors, 400 each a week. Times 4 is 1,600. So if they only have a 5-star rating, let's say they only have 80 reviews, well, out of 1,600 people and only 80 left reviews, well, where are the 1,520 other reviews? Where are those reviews? They never got asked for. They never got followed up on. Well, that's exactly where the reputation management comes in. It asks, it nurtures, and it captures, right? That's what we want to position here, right? But we can only position that if we have enough credible, respectful analysis to share, because no one's going to give us the time of day to yap in their ear only. They want a visual. This is your visual. Your online score is listed, right? Information about the business to validate, like this is your business. I didn't just make this up, right? A little bit about your Google business profile claim status. You have a text-enabled number, which is great. Here's what we detected. Like, even though these are checked off, it's still subliminally saying, I know what you got in play. I know what you're doing great. And I know what you're not doing enough of. You don't have a chat widget on your site. You're missing out. You don't have a WordPress site. You're not optimized. In Dallas, where you want to be at, you're 10 plus on the list. You're 3 and 5 on the Google search. In your area, the only 3 show up, sometimes only 2, because there's 2 sponsored ads sometimes. So you're never in that top fold. There's always a chance where you get pushed down. Right? And this is SEO content now. Right? But John, how does SEO and reputation, like I told you before, reviews, drives, and contributes to the SEO. So how you understand and what you know about this is important in sharing that full story and strategy. Here are the competitors in your area with equal, if not better, reviews than you. The room for improvement is this. And here's how we start implementing that. Looks like your information may not be fully correct on all the websites you're on. Looks like you got 205 reviews. Takes you about a day to 2 days to respond to it. Out of the 50 reviews I analyzed, 42 were positive, 8 were negative. Oh yeah, which ones were negative? I'm glad you asked. Let me show you both. Here are some of the negative reviews you've been getting. Maybe you're aware of this, maybe you're not. I mean, people are saying some pretty harsh stuff here. They're saying some pretty harsh stuff here, doc, or so and so. I mean, would the doctor feel comfortable if they saw this? Right? Like you're the marketing director, you're the marketing manager. Like I typically work with someone like you, if not you, to get this fixed. Like we gotta tackle this. And now, again, this is all through experience, through confidence, through relationship, right? You build upon this as you flow. But the information's right. You can't unsee this. You can't unsee this. Once you see it, there's no unseeing it. And once it's there, it stays in your mind, right? But John, that's not my style, man. I'm not going to throw things in people's face. I'm not saying throw it in the face. I'm saying to you is be aware and be able to have it in your toolbox to share the room for improvement. And we're going to also go over some positive reviews. Like we're just not going to go over the bad because the good could get better too. See, our patients aren't giving us longer reviews. Like few of them are going a little bit more in detail, but like Dr. Ariel has a great review, right? Miss Blackman is great. Dr. Alyssa had great rating reviews. Dr. Shea has great reviews. Like, what about the new doctors that are coming in? Like, how do we get them on the Google reviews? Right? And I know you're running the marketing for the whole practice and you're in charge of 3 locations. But I believe that if we can get this location up and running with the system, a process, sky's the limit here. We can automate all of this, but more importantly, the why is because if we automate the tedious part, you can spend more time on the more important parts that drive the business for the physicians as well as for the practice. Right? So there's different strategies go, and this goes on and on and on and on, my friends. I mean, I got speed test, I got this test, I got, and again, you're not going to go over all of this on a given call. It'd be too much. They'll kick you out. But at the very least, as you look at enough of these, here's what happens. As you look at enough of these reports for a specific business type in a specific area with a specific niche or a specific use case, here's what I'll tell you what will happen. One, you'll start to know the businesses' names in the area. So you'll be able to name drop and become more aware of who the players are. Two, you'll understand, right, some of the great things people say about businesses, some of the bad things they say about businesses, and it'll allow you to have meaningful conversations around potential gaps in a business based on what the customers in that business are saying. In addition, you'll be able to feel comfortable and confident on talking about improvement within a business for a certain industry without actually being a practitioner in that business or industry. Right? You see enough of this, you become a subject matter expert based on data and experience of implementing. So I want you to be excited about this because this is like you have like coursework, right? Like in our course, like in the 5-day challenge, you have like the membership course, right? That you take every day, day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you got the live session. Look at this as like a live session of you always learning, always sharpening up the knives, right? I want to be as sharp as a Cutco knife, and they are not endorsing me, right? I just want to be as sharp as a sharp knife, right? I want to be sharp as a chef knife, and it's going to take practice, right? A sous chef, any type of tradesman, right, can do and use their tools with their eyes closed most of the times because they just know the precise angle, they know the precise process. It's not recommended, but they know how to balance. They know the feeling. They know where they need to be. So I want you to get that same feeling here, and you're only going to get it by doing this. Finding businesses that you're having meaningful conversations with, because here's what I don't want you to do. I don't want you to run a bunch of reports and leave them like pennies on your desk. I want you to run reports on people that you're having conversations with. That'll be the KPI that you use to drive more time, to drive more conversations, to make it more worth it to you. And as you make it more worth it to you, you have more conversations that you enjoy. You see more marketing audit reports that you practice and you help implement. And what's nice about this is that I can share it digitally. Because see, like back in the day, like when we had something similar to this, like at a version 1, when I worked at another company years ago, like I used to have a printer in my car to print these out because it was like the software was so clunky. Like I had to like print it out because I didn't want it to fail on me by accident. Well, this is a PDF. You can use a live web link. Like imagine you leave a business like, hey, this was very insightful, John, and I want to really send this to my CEO, or I want to send this to my manager. Da, 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 da. Could you send me a link? Oh, well, I got to do a PDF, or I really can't send it to you because it's not going to come out as clean and nice as it was printed. There's no excuses. Absolutely. You want me to send? I'll send it to you. What's their email? I'll include them on it. Right? I'll even give them a short video kind of walking you through it as well. Does that help? Great. Like you just get that swaggy with it. You get that confident with it. You're just like, what else is next? Oh, you got someone you want to refer to me to? I'll do a report for them too. Oh yeah, wait till you see this. I mean, these things, I mean, this is like leaving the back door open. You don't want to leave the back door open. And the aha moment kicks in, right? So if you like what you see, if you like what you're hearing, if you like and you're feeling excited about evolving into the agency view, into the prospecting tool, getting really good at understanding the KPIs, the different identifiers that you should be speaking about in order for a business to have a strong online presence, well then I'm right there with you. This stuff pumps me up because I know what it could do and I know what it does. I know what it could do and I know what it does. Right? So my enthusiasm might push you away a little bit. But let it push you away because you're only missing out. Because there's other people using this tool closing deals every day. They're closing deals every day with this tool. Whether you use it or not, it's still there and it's being used. So take advantage of it, all right? So let's hit to the next area here. We're going to go into our sub-account view, right? Sub-account is basically the account that we're working out of for the business, right? So your agency sub-account, right? And what we want to make sure we're doing here is 2 things at the bare minimum. We're making sure we're putting all of our contacts in the system, right? Make sure all of our contacts are in the system, right? We put our contacts, refresh this. We put our contacts in the system. We're able to talk to them, network with them, conversate with them, send them information, right? We're able to leave notes, book appointments, see the history, see the opportunities, right? So, as I'm putting, and again, there's a couple ways to streamline this, but like I just want you to keep in mind here, I put a contact in, right? I update the email, all the settings, and then I book an appointment. I do it right from here, right? Book it right from here, right? I need to add them as an opportunity. I add them right from here. I need to put a task. I create the task right from here. I want to do a note. I put the note right from here. Right? Leverage what you have. Leverage what you have, right? Because the data you put in is the data that comes back to you. And as you do that, your opportunities pipeline, your sales pipeline starts to fill up. Your sales pipeline starts to fill up. So you got sales call booked, sales calls attended, the verbal yes, the payment made, right? And you're able to move this around as needed based on what you do, right? And then as you click on here and you get them going, you're able to send them an invoice. You're able to look at their tasks, their notes. All of it's here, right? So I want you to keep this in mind because we can't go too in depth on all this back to back. But I want you to know that your CRM is part of High Level. That's part of your sales and prospecting workflow. Collecting payments and sending out invoices and starting subscriptions is done within High Level, right? That's in here as well. Top part gives you everything here, right? It connects with Stripe, PayPal, Square, all the major platforms, right? At that point, you just got to get creative. You got to map out your customer journey, your prospect journey, and then you could use different tools within High Level to bring it to life. And there's enough out there in these Facebook groups, especially in the 5-day group and the High Level official community, that there's enough strategy and clues that people leave behind on how you can leverage based on your area, strategy, niche, goals, interest, right? So I want to just share a few things here as we start to wrap this up. I want to share a few things here, right? As I pull this up. The overall goal of everything I've just went over with you, overall goal is to book a meeting. That's your end all be all KPI. How many meetings have I booked? The overall goal is to book a meeting. And if a meeting turns into a demo, or a demo turns into a meeting, or a commitment to show up and they show up turns into an opportunity to speak to, that's a meeting. Right? And if you're working with small to medium-sized businesses and you're used to a corporate environment, well, this is not going to be structured and exactly how you hope it to be. They might take a meeting while they're in the bathroom. They might take a meeting while they're in the car. They might take a meeting while they're at the park. They might take a meeting while they're on the way to their softball game. But a conversation is really the true identifier of where this is going to go from there on. How you speak, how they speak to you. What you say, what they say to you. What expectations you set, what they expect of you. You get enough of this information, you earn the right to keep the conversation going. There's no set structure for it. You have to be the steward of it. Being the steward of it is knowing what your goal is. Your goal is to convert them into a length approach that you could say, hey, this is what I could do for you. This is what is the outcome. Are you ready to get it going? Are you focused on improving your reputation? Are you focused on getting more customers? And at that point, you got a sale, right? But in order to get the sale, you got to build rapport. We talked about this a few different ways. You have to have your agenda. Not that you have to present the whole agenda, but you have to clearly at least outline the purpose of the meeting. We're not just here to just talk about, your favorite team or to hear them rant. Want to set an agenda. We want to have an objective. You want to make the objective clear. Look, the objective here, Joe, is to get you more reviews so you attract more customers and you crush the competition. Do I have the permission to ask you a few questions to better understand your business, but most importantly, show you a game plan based on my expertise and the data that I've put together? How long have you been in business for, Joe? How did this start? Is this, family business? Like, cool. What keeps you in business? Like, why do you keep doing this? Right? Understanding their experience, understanding their stability, understanding why they're doing what they're doing. And then pivoting into some fashion, what's their true bread and butter in their business? Is it the installation or the service work? Is it a product or a warranty service? You need to get a clear picture of what their offering is to tailor it to how they want to attract more of that. And sometimes customers don't even know their offer. Now, how do your customers typically find you with this type of service versus the others? You mentioned that you get a lot of calls that you don't like. Like, you don't do this, but you get calls for it. And you forward it out or you share it out. Well, where are they finding you to get? Like, where are they saying they're finding you to get? Like, all these random calls come in. Oh, one of your competitors went out of business. I see. Well, what's that name? Let's take a look at their Google profile. Maybe we could claim that since they're no longer in business. Maybe we could see how we can add you into that search so you pop up as a better alternative. Right? So you start to workshop this together. You throw these clues out of strategy. Right? And you want to talk about look, you have a handful of reviews. Are you asking for it? Are people just going out of their way? You got a few questionable ones. Do you think these are competitors? Are these actual customers? Could you help me understand what we have here and why we have it there? And now they start to really open up and oh, yeah, I'm glad you mentioned it. And then active listening and then pivoting. Because If you let them talk too much or you let them go on, one question could be the whole conversation, and that's not going to convert. Right? So these are questions that you ask. Ask them with empathy. Ask them with curiosity. Ask them with a nice, proper tonality to fit their style, but also be yourself. And as you start to do so, you start to understand and you start to pivot questions. You start to skip over questions. You start to get directly to other questions. You start to create other questions that are more resourceful, more prescriptive to the person you're talking to or the industry you're in. And then you start to really understand the problems, objections, because as you get a good understanding of the business, objections will occur. Concerns about price will occur. They'll give you a handful of reasons, 15 reasons why price is a concern. The thing is here, a lot of this price has to do with uncertainty. It has a lot to do with, not really knowing what you do or how you do it, or being incorrectly sold something in the past, or not really having a clarity or believing in it. So it's really like the same question reworded like 12 to 13 times differently. But there is context, there is validity to this, right? And then you have skepticism. That'll always happen too. I don't believe it. There's no way. There's no way that you guys could do better than da, 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 da. There's no way that that's even possible. I think you're lying. This got to be a scam. Like it's just like enough is enough. You cut your losses early. We're not a good fit. It's okay. All right, but I do want to share a couple of testimonials with you. I mean, I want to show you a couple of clues and experiences that I've helped others in your area with, right? Like you got to get into that. Like you'll get to that point where you'll fire customers before you hire them. You'll get to that point where you'll pick and choose who you really want to work with, and that's a great point to be at, right? But it's not going to happen overnight. Right? And there's 15 ways that they'll give you excuses around skepticism or about effectiveness of this is how this is possible. Right? And then you'll have those that could do it themselves. They'll take all the information you share. They'll take your report. They'll do one of these. Oh man, this is great. This is great. Can I keep that? Can I have that? Great, great, great. What's your number? What's your cell phone number? I'll call you. I'll shoot you a text tomorrow. I just want to take a look at this. I want to review it. I want to consume it. I want to take a day to make decisions. I want to just really understand this. They're going to take that report and run with it, and they're not looking back. They're going to try to figure it out themselves. And you're going to come across those. Don't worry about it. They're just not the right fit. But I just want you to know that there's really no coming back to the sit unless you really do a great job in the conversation. And you build enough rapport where you can have a two-way conversation. Like right now, if this was a sales call, I lost you as a potential customer because I'm doing all the talking. Right? I'm doing all the talking because we're on a Zoom, like we're on a one-way conversation. I see what you're typing. Right? I see what you guys are typing, but I'm not like I can't like call you by name. I can't like hear you, right? So I lost you if you're my customer. So there has to be a fair balance of back and forth. A little bit of laughter, a little bit of seriousness, a little bit of balance, a little bit of assertiveness, right? Because at the end of the day, these different problems like lack of understanding, fear of change, privacy and security, they all have about 15 different excuses, rebuttals to them. Results and timeline, commitment. What I want you to know is that as you get these objections, either make a mental note or jot them down, because you're going to have to tie it back to the offer that you do, the expertise, the time, the state of the business, the goals that they mention, the reason why they're in business, why they've been so long in business. All these different things come full circle and then creates the validation to take action. But it won't happen unless you reference it. And you'll never get to the actual demo or the visual of the software, that excitement part of, hey, look, let me show you this. Let's get started right away. I mean, it sounds like you really want to get this going. It sounds like you really are annoyed that it took this long to find something like this to help your business. I want to make sure by the time I leave here, this is up and running at 70%. right? And based on what I've learned and what you've shared, I believe we can really have a good relationship here and that we could really address the challenge you've been dealing with. And if you're open to it, I'd like to give you a quick demo, but also I'd like to give you a quick offer to get started today if this is what you really want to do. Right? So maybe you show one or two little components, but get right back to the closing. Get right back to the action taking. Because if you lose them in the demo, you lost them altogether. And this is just some examples of how you can engage with people during the demo. You know, sometimes the demo will be first before the discovery because they just want to see something. And then you end up peppering the demo and the discovery in together. So you'll notice that nothing is ever going to happen as planned. But if you have an overview, if you have an agenda, things happen rather than not happen. Right? And you start to engage and you start to understand and you start to handle these different objections that happen. But at the end of the day, let's talk about what's the most important part. It's transition. Taking their mind from a curiosity to a nice to have, to a I need to have this, to a let me pull out my wallet and give you my card. Let me go all in. Right? That's the transition you have to get really good at, is that closing next steps. Look, it sounds like you're ready. The next step is this. Let me set this platform up for you. I'm going to set up your invoice. In the meantime, if you could just start filling this part out here about your business, I'm going to put your order in, get your account up and running. We'll get you to at least 50%. I'll push 70% based on what you have available and the time you have. But we're going to take action right away to start getting these reviews coming in so you can see it changing your business. Shall we go ahead? Welcome, man. I'm excited to do business with you. All right, let's get this going, man. You deserve this. I deserve it. You deserve it. Let's do it. Right? And now you got to build a little bit of the emotion and get them going. Right? So was that helpful for you? What are your questions? Threw so much at you. By this time, I've thrown the keyboard at you, thrown the mouse at you, thrown the screen at you. I threw so much at you today. I'm looking at the views. They're going up and down. Some people are like, I can't hear this no more. I gotta go. Some people are like, I gotta come back. This is actually good stuff. If you're watching the replay now, let me know if you're watching the replay, right? Like when you watch this replay, comment below because we're at the tail end of our live. I love to know who's tuning in on the replay. But look, everything I gave you is foundation. Everything I gave you is based off personal experience or experience firsthand, working with someone in our community. The end takeaway here is this. Get familiar with the system, reputation management system, the feature. Get familiar and confident about having conversations. Get a consistency, get a schedule, get a goal, get a reason of why you're going to go at this, even when you don't want to, and get it done. Get it done. And you can do it. I promise you. So look, we got day 3 in the bank, right? Let me get where's my wallet at? If I can get cash and I could put a price tag on this, it'd be a whole lot of money. I'm going to put this in my wallet and I'm going to put it in my pocket and I'm going to get ready to spend it when I need to, because knowledge is power and you can't take it away. You cannot take it away. So if you found this valuable, let me know below. If you found this valuable, whether it's a nugget, whether it's 2 hours we hung out together, whether it's 15 minutes that you caught towards the end, I don't care. Just tell me if you found it valuable and what you took away from it, because I want to make sure that if the least we could do is make sure we can get that for the next crew that comes in, that has the same goals, same aspirations as you, because the crew before you did it and the crew before you was similar to y'all, and they're killing it and crushing it now themselves. So look, if you're about making money, that's great. If you're about helping people, that's great. But if you're really about leveling up yourself, your knowledge, your potential, you're all about breaking limiting beliefs, then that's fantastic. Look, y'all have been amazing. Tomorrow, we got more. We're here Thursday, we're here Friday. We're live. And it's not a party without you. And I want to pull real quick here, Jordan. Jordan, I know we got a couple of candidates here for winners. Could we throw a winner in the chat below? Who's our winner for today? Drum roll, please. Our winner for today is in the comments. Our winner today will get reached out to through message. Please check your message. Sometimes this goes to spam. Sometimes this goes to spam, but we want to make sure we get you your gift card. We want to make sure you jump in, you pick up some swag from our store. Help me give a shout out to my pal here, Jordan. And I have the privilege of teaching and training and just being here with y'all, man. I also have the privilege of partnering with Jordan to be in our comments, handling all of y'all questions right away, getting you in the right direction. I appreciate all of you all here jumping in, communicating, sharing. We're back at it tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern. Second to last day of what we're doing here. And our Facebook group's on fire. So if you haven't yet joined our Facebook group for the 5-day reviews challenge, get in there while it's hot. Because we have nuggets, we have strategies, we have actions, we have people getting things done in there. And you deserve to be in that circle as well. So we got our winner, we got our content. Now we got to get time to get it done. You got homework to do. Hit day 3 on the homework if you haven't yet. If you haven't set up your high level, set that up. You need it. You need the high level to get this high level in, right? In order to get this going, you need the system. You need the keys to the car. You need the high level for the business. Let's go. Y'all been great. Have a great one. See you tomorrow, 12 p.m.